Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This will be another vinyl update, a couple of books, some recent vinyl pickups, and one that I've held on to for a while. Now this first thing is a book I may have shown before, and if I have, I'm just showing it again. And it's a book on vinyl and how records are made and everything of that sort, which I found really interesting. Didn't really learn a whole lot, because a lot of it I had already found out through just looking things up. But the section on the pre-1948 and the 33 and a third and all that era of the hobby, beeswax, phonograph and all that, from medicine and the like, was certainly fascinating, at least to me. So if you can get a copy of this or are interested, it's definitely worth it, because this is a fascinating read, and even just looking at the pictures, every once in a while is fun. Now, to something that I just picked up. This is a reprint of the 2013 book by Martin Popoff, The Art of Metal, and it goes through artwork on 45s, full albums, posters, t-shirts, fanzines. Goes through it all, covering every genre from prog rock to nu metal. So you're going through the 60s through the 2000s. So it's incredibly expansive, and just really goes in depth, and there's fascinating articles. They talk to designers and artists, in addition to the actual musicians in some cases. So you'll get pieces on in interviews. They did a piece with Derek Riggs, for example. So this is definitely worth looking into if that's a subject that interests you. It certainly does me. And a lot of my favorite artists, in terms of design and favorite covers of albums, were included in this, unsurprisingly, seeing as what the subject matter was. So we'll get into the vinyl. Just a couple of pieces this time. This I'd been hanging on to for a while, because it had been the only thing I'd bought recently until just a few months ago, waiting on pre-order. But this is an English import of some live tracks from Dire Straits. This is not the full concert, I don't believe, but it's definitely a nice piece to add, because I'm basically a second generation, because of family fan of Dire Straits because it was one of the bands that was heavily played in my youth. So adding some extra live stuff. I've already got some official live stuff that they released, and I have practically everything that they recorded, just about. I think I might be missing just one or two albums, but I virtually have everything that they've done. So this was a nice addition to the collection. And this, if you watch my other channel, you'll have already been familiar with this, but this is Kerry King's new solo album. I'm not going to go into in-depth discussion on this because I've already done that on my other channel. So if you want unboxings and opinions and all that, go over there. Okay, now for the fingerprint magnet. This is the new, well, not new anymore, but recently released Black Sabbath box set of the Tony Martin era. And longtime viewers of this channel will know that I am a big Black Sabbath fan. However, I don't believe that I can claim that, or have been falsely claiming that I was, due to the fact that I had virtually ignored everything after the Dio era. And that was at my own peril and stupidity. Because I had, in the case of Born Again, only heard the single, and that was a mistake. And then with these albums, I knew they existed at a certain point in going through their discography and all that stuff. So I knew that these existed, but I'm not really one to search out digital versions of albums because I don't like listening to digital versions. If I have a CD or I have the vinyl or something like that, I just don't like listening to music that way, although I do it occasionally. But since I didn't own any of these albums, you couldn't buy any of these albums, I kind of ignored them. And I've come to find out how wrong that I was in that stance. Now, this is a fingerprint magnet, which is why I'm wearing gloves, because this is a brand new book and it's already got fingerprints all over everything inside, and I didn't want to happen to this set and get fingerprints all over the inserts in the box and all of that. So you take out the contents, and yeah, this has all been covered on the official channels from this band, but this is the booklet that goes over some of the history of the time period that these came out. And myself personally, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. The book or booklet booklet that was included in the 2004 Aussie Era box set was virtually a treasure trove of information for me as a teenager. Sorry, that was my air conditioning. Okay, this is the Headless Cross tour program. And these are always interesting additions to these types of sets. Here's the poster. Now, I haven't gone through all of these albums, but I've gone through a few of them, and I quickly discovered my error in the fact that I should have listened to these a long time before now. Irrespective of the fact that these had been out of print for a very long time, you know, that notwithstanding, should have paid more attention. So here, Headless Cross. Tear. And I only needed to get one track deep before I was instantly hooked with this. And I listened to the first side of this, and I was absolutely floored. Yeah, it's not the Dio era, it's not the Aussie era, it's not the popular stuff that's on radio, it's not the popular stuff that fans know, but this stuff is awesome. And Tony Martin is an amazing, amazing singer, and Tony Iommi is still heavy guitar kicking ass. And isn't that what you want from a heavy metal album or a Black Sabbath album? So, at least right now, Tear is favorite of the bunch. There's Cross Purposes. And the remix of Forbidden. And regarding this album, I'd only heard the negativity surrounding it, and this will be one that I'll need to get into and listen to it probably 4 or 5 times to really understand it, because that's what I need to do in a lot of cases, because I don't always like new music the first time I hear it. I need to hear it a couple of times at least so that I can kind of, you know, get it in my head and get the riffs and all that stuff. But I'd only heard the negativity surrounding this album, and yeah, even for me, but especially for longtime heavy metal or longtime Black Sabbath fans, I know when you hear Ice-T's name involved in a heavy metal project and Ernie C's producing, that gets things a little hinky and would make you reticent. I perfectly understand that. That having been said, not speaking to the production side of things, body count is incredible, and if you don't believe me, watch their Wacken 2017 performance. And then come back and say that they're not badass, because they are. And Ernie C is a great guitarist. Now, of course, that doesn't speak to the production side of things, because they give a lot of credit to people like Greg Fiddleman, and that's one person that I do not personally think is all that great when it comes to some of the albums that he's worked on. Specifically within the thrash metal genre, but that's for another time, and now I'm getting into sort of a ranting ramble, so I will cut it there. Thanks everybody for watching. I have more stuff coming, and I will see you next time.